Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be setting up a new test bench. Yes, you heard that right. I'm just setting up a test bench, but I thought it'd be interesting to kind of make a video showing you guys how I set up a test bench and what I actually do, so that you can see, when I do my testing, what I'm actually testing on, how I'm testing, and how I set up the system. So it's kind of a PC build today because we're building a nice budget-oriented system that I want to do for testing, and that is with the RTX 2060 KO. So I got this for $300 on the dot, including tax, so it was actually less than $300 listed, and the Ryzen 3 3300X. And I thought this would be a super interesting bench to test stuff on, because these are like the hottest items right now, and for maybe good or bad reason. The problem is that the way they've been reported on is that it seems to suggest that people think that these are some god tier products, that these are the best things, the budget kings, and it really depends on the situation. So the way they've been reported on is, best product, it's basically a 2080 Ti, and it's $100 and it's the best CPU on the planet. Roughly speaking, that's generally kind of how the reporting has been. I think it's a little dangerous, but I definitely want to test for myself and see if, these claims are accurate, and maybe temper expectations a bit. It was like what happened with the 1600 AF, where I was like, you must buy this, it's insane. But then people started buying it for like $200 a piece, when it was only supposed to be $85, and that was the reason people said to buy it, but that's not the point. So the first thing we're going to do is unplug our first test bench. So this is our Xeon E5 2695 V3. We just finished our testing and video on that, so we can finally unplug it and put it away. This is an amazing board. I loved working with this board and CPU, and I definitely hope to use it. I mean, worst case scenario, I sell it for a couple hundred. If you're interested, I doubt it. I know people aren't going to buy it, but like I said, if anyone's ever interested in something I have, I'm not gonna try to upsell you something, and I'm honestly gonna tell you if I have a good deal or not. Like, if you live in the U.S. and you're interested in anything I have in this office, shoot me an offer. I have too much stuff. We're just gonna put that up there for now because I do not have a box for it currently, because it's a server board and a CPU and a cooler. So for my motherboard, I'm going to go with this B450 Aorus board, this Aorus B450M. I'm not entirely sure what the deal is with the BIOS, because these, the 3300X and 3100 came out after the new BIOSes for the, the newer chips, the 3800X, which is actually what's in here now, etc. So I don't actually know what that's going to be like in terms of if the BIOS is going to support it, because this is an updated BIOS board, but only up until 3rd gen. So I don't know. Wow, that was terrible, terrible spreading of the thermal paste here. See if I can get this out without tearing off the... I hate when fan headers are really stuck. So we got that out. Get rid of the RGB. We're not going to need that. So I think I'm going to go ahead and actually use the stock cooler, which I usually don't like doing with chips, because it's worse. But in terms of if you were going to buy this chip, you're using the stock cooler, I doubt you'd spend the money for this chip. This is dangerous, don't do that. I doubt you'd spend the money for a budget chip and then pay more money for a cooler when you could just buy a better chip from AMD for like 20 bucks more. But that's not the point. So let's open it up and see what we got inside. So it looks like we're going to have a stealth cooler. Not the greatest thing, but I mean, it works. And Ryzen 3 3300X. Awesome. This was the last one in stock, actually, at Micro Center. So I'm going to wipe off and uninstall that 3800X. I mean, all I do, take a paper towel, wipe it off, done, toss it in the trash. All right, and we're going to need a clamshell for that. Now, despite as it appears on camera, I am relatively careful with my hardware. Let's push this into the peg so it doesn't fly off and break, as things are tend to do on this channel. Get out. Oh god, this metal. I'm relatively careful with my hardware when I can be. Like, I know which pieces can take me being, not exactly super careful with, and which can't. The pins on a Ryzen, I've learned the hard way, cannot take being dropped, obviously. So I always take them out with a clamshell present and get thermal paste on my hand. So I'm going to now pop in my 3300X. That was the wrong way to open it. gonna say that right now. Got it. Can we just admire? Please don't drop. Can we just admire how clean these are? I know you can barely see it from there. I know my camera. It's okay. It's a good camera. I'm just a bad person. It's just they're so clean. They are so clean. You can only get them this clean when you really rub them down with like rubbing alcohol and stuff after you clean them. But this is just after you use them. It's just adorable. It's adorably clean. I love it. So we're going to pop that in. And so for our stock, basic looking cooler. The main reason I want to use it though is because it has thermal paste on it that's basically pre-applied and pretty good. Some people say you should replace it, but why would you waste the money to replace it? Again, you're buying a budget CPU. Again, I hate it when channels do that. Oh, this still looks like a beefier cooler. Hold on. Hey, this is beefier than the normal Stealth. Good to know. They tell you to replace it or they replace it. I'm like, again, you're paying. This is a budget system. You're saving every dime you can. Why in the world would you buy new thermal paste for they're like $6? I know it's not that expensive, but again, every couple bucks that you just spend on useless stuff, you could have spent on just getting a better CPU and not getting that useless stuff. That's what I find it just so annoying when people do that. It's mostly bigger tech channels. They're probably trying to show you the best possible performance, and I understand that, but it still just looks a little annoying. I find it to be stupid. That's why I either focus on super high-end stuff that only I can buy that I think would be interesting that hasn't been covered, such as a 2695 V3. It's something that bigger channels aren't going to cover, with good reason, because it's such a random chip. It's not the best that is sold, but it's not the worst. So it's not really going to get covered. And then I also like to focus on actual budget systems. Systems where if I had a budget, what would I actually do? Would I buy new thermal paste? No. Would I buy a new cooler? Probably frickin' not. It's like putting heated seats on a Toyota Camry. Getting a test bench was one of the best things I've done. The open bench table, which is what I use, has been one of the nicest things to use because it's so easy compared to what I used to do where I just took a box and put it on top. It's very easy to pop in graphics cards, to switch out motherboards. I used to use the actual whole PC for testing graphics cards, but I switched, and this is so much better than that was. Alright, so that's our CPU installed. So for RAM, let's see. I think we should go for just some performance memory. I could go for this Vengeance, but I'm just gonna go for 16 gigs of this Vengeance RGB because I want to go for a full, what would you build if you're buying a budget PC? So, inexpensive, working, this is DDR4 3000, I'm probably going to try to overclock it to 3200. You would probably buy 3200 or 3600 for the same exact price as you get these. This is what I have. I'm going to use these. They're simple sticks. And again, you want to know the performance of the build that you would actually build. I strive to find the person that puts 32 gigs of RAM in this kind of build. Because that person should be slapped. There we go. Our SATA connectors are in. Connect our fan to the header of the fan. No RGB this time. Makes it a lot easier. I have a terrible track record with RGB and plugging things in wrong and frying them. So again, some channels would say, okay, let's test 3300X. 2080 Ti, Titan XP. No, again, this is a budget build. How many times do I have to say it? I'm reiterating it in case someone has skipped ahead, which doesn't happen. So, we have a brand new, well, besides it not being brand new, but for the most part brand new, RTX 2060 KO. This is like the card that every YouTuber right now is bowing down to and saying, it's the God card, buy this card for $300. And then people hear, buy this card, it's amazing, and they buy it for $350. Because they don't understand the reason they're saying it's amazing is because of the price. So for $300, is this a good card? Let's find out. The 3300X, if it's, again, like people say it is, like a 7700K, which, I mean, I can believe. We've gotten to that point, right? Then maybe then the CPU will not hold this GPU back and we'll just be looking at the raw performance of this card. But that's really it. We've built my whole system. So we just plug in my USB, which is to the hub on this monitor, which is my keyboard and mouse, and then we plug in wherever the hell my display port went, and it's on the floor because my room is messy. If you have a problem with it, I do too, and I don't care to fix my problems. That's the point. So we're going to turn on our power supply, short the front pins on the board to turn it on, and just like that, we've built a whole PC. And I'm really freaking hoping that I do not have to update the BIOS, because that would hurt me in new ways. Although I'm getting some red lights on the board, and I think it says RAM and CPU. Now I think the CPU light is on, and that makes me really sad. Hey! Just kidding. We did it. I'm so smart. Love me. Alright, let's just make sure this whole system works and boots up and Task Manager recognizes everything. And I get another box to add to my collection of boxes, which if you come to my live streams, everyone comments on. So what I'm probably going to do to test this system is put in this, and this is what I did for the VR system, is put in this Titan XP as a dedicated encoding GPU and put it in the bottom slot, or use the Turing encoder on the 2060 if it's not going to take up too much power to record at the highest possible quality. But we'll find that out off camera. Let's see, are we going to boot into Windows nicely? Yes, we are. This is an adorable card. Are we just, oh my god. No Razer gaming software. Nobody wants you. Okay, let's see. Task Manager. Yes, Ryzen 3 3300X 4-core processor at 3.8 gigahertz base clock. I want to do another video trying to overclock this thing on the stock cooler. We got a 2060, perfect, and an MSI Afterburner. We are... Okay, our CPU temp is a bit high. 50, it's about 50 degrees. It's about the highest end of idle you want to be in. Oh, it's dropping into the 40s. Okay, there we go. It's dropping into the 40s. 41 is our temp. Okay, so we're leveling out at 41 degrees. Now, it is very hot in this room, and probably that temp is a little bit my fault. If I have to, I might switch out the cooler to make it so that it's actually more accurate, because this room is extremely hot. My main PC spits out so much heat. A GPU temp is 35 degrees. Yeah, we got a different system. So this is how I set up my test bench, and this is upcoming video, which I'm super excited to make because I think it'll get a lot of views, except it probably won't because nobody cares about my content, but that's fine. Oh, our CPU power is barely plugged in. There we go. So yeah, that's how I set up a bench. I basically just put the parts on. Really interesting, dude. Really good job, 100%. So this is an upcoming video, 3300X, 2060 KO. If you have anything you want me to do in the video that I haven't, just leave a comment. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys. See you in the next one. Peace.